Fanfic Corner, presented by Jennifer. United We Stand, Chapter 1, written and read by Jennifer. Now, before we get started, I'd just like to say one thing, and that is, if I mispronounce anyone's name in this fanfic, I do apologize. The armies of Katolis and Duren had traveled to the breach in the hopes of getting into Xadia and retrieving the Magma Titan's heart, to save both their kingdoms. However, they were met with an opposition. A very big opposition. Thunder, the Dragon King and ruler of Xadia, stood blocking their paths. "Come no further," he said. "You are not welcome here." Hearing the dragon speak gave Pyrrah an idea. If Thunder could talk, perhaps they could work out some kind of truce between their three kingdoms. "Wait here," he told the others. "What are you doing?" Duren said. "That's Thunder. Let me take care of him. One well-placed spell, and he will be no threat to anyone anymore." "And have all of Xadia descend on us? No. I'm going to do something no one has done since this war started. Talk with him." Pyrrah moved forward and stopped just at the border to Xadia. "Greetings, great master of the sky," he said to Thunder, as if greeting one of the rulers of the other human kingdoms. "I am Pyrrah, king of Katolis, and I am Annika, queen of Duren," Annika said, coming up behind Pyrrah. Thunder lowered his head so that he was almost eye level with them. "I am Ezran, king of the dragons, ruler of Xadia, and archdragon of the sky," he said. "Tell me why you chose to enter my kingdom." "We are technically on neutral ground," Pyrrah said, "and we've come to ask you for a truce and your aid. Duren is suffering from a terrible famine. Katolis has offered to help, but even sharing our harvests, 100,000 people from both kingdoms will die." "A dire predicament. But what does this have to do with me?" Avantius asked as two elves, one male and one female, came to stand on either side of him, and Sarai and Niha came to stand beside Pyrrah and Annika. "I have heard that the Earthblood elves are capable of growing enough food to feed 100 kingdoms in just one day. We ask that you share a small amount of your food, enough to get Katolis and Duren through the winter. In exchange, we'll do what we can to keep Dalbar, Neolandia, and Evenir from entering your kingdom for 1 year." Avantius raised his head. "I need a moment to consider your request," he said. "Lian, Tadarin, come." "My king," the male elf Lian said. "Are you sure we can trust these humans? This could be a trick." "No. I've heard of this famine that's been plaguing Duren. Our spies have brought back news of it. Furthermore, if Katolis and Duren are weakened by 100,000 over the course of this winter, there may be no stopping the other kingdoms from entering Xadia. Katolis and Duren are the only thing standing between us, Dalbar, Neolandia, and Evenir. Besides, I remember a time when humans, elves, and dragons helped one another." As Ambrians chuckled. "I am the only one here who can remember such a time. So we're going to help them." Avantium gave a slight nod. "Tiraden," he said, "take a message and send it to the Earth Nexus." After writing down the message, Tiraden fitted it to a white Shadowhawk arrow, which she shot into the air with the words, "Earth Nexus." "What's going on?" Hale asked. "I've sent a message to the Earthblood elves," Avantium said. "So you're helping us?" Sarai asked. "Yes. I've instructed them to select 2 Earth mages and have them ready when I arrive. I will give the Shadowhawk arrow a few hours head start before I leave so the Earthblood elves will have time to follow my request." With that, the dragon moved towards an outcropping of rocks and laid down. The 2 elves stayed close to the border, making sure the humans didn't cross. Sarai tried to think of something they could talk about to ease the tension. They had to have something in common. That's when she noticed something around Tiraden's neck, a necklace of dried noodles. It reminded her so much of the one Callum had made for her last Mother's Day, except painted green and purple instead of red and gold, that she knew it had to have been made by a child. "Your mother," Sarai said. Tiraden looked at her and then tucked the necklace inside her shirt. "Yes," she said without looking up. "How many children do you have?" "Just one, a daughter." "What's her name?" Rayla, she's staying with my brother, Ruan, and his husband, Atari, while Leanne and I are with the Dragon Guard. Rayla is a very pretty name. How old is she? She just turned 6 a month ago. My older son, Callum, also just turned 6 a month ago. My younger son, Ezran, is almost 1. Our daughter, Anya, just turned 2, Annika said. She's quite the handful. Nia said. You think they're talking about us? Hera said to Leanne. Based on my wife's body language, I'm pretty sure she's talking about our daughter. Leanne said. Soon the two were also exchanging stories about their kids. All 6 were so busy talking, they didn't notice Evandium fly off to collect the Earth Mages. Callum loves to draw. Hera said, I gave him a sketchbook shortly after he and Soren moved into the castle, and he carries it everywhere. Rayla loves the music at the summer solstice and spring and fall equinox celebrations. Leanne said, she doesn't have the steps down yet, so she mostly just stands on my feet when we dance together. Everyone is getting along, I see. Evandium said. 2 elves stood next to him. I'd like you to meet Sage and Saffron. They'll be staying in Duren and Katolis for 1 year and a season. During that time, they'll use their magic to help your kingdoms grow enough food to feed your people. All I ask is that they be treated as guests. They'll be treated as honored guests, Hera said. I'll send a messenger ahead to have a room prepared for Saffron, and the Crow Lord send word to Duren. When word had reached them that their parents and the soldiers had returned, Callum, Claudia, and Soren hurried out to greet them and see what would save their kingdom. Where's the heart? Claudia asked excitedly, eager to see magic. We didn't get it, Duren said. Never even entered Xadia. The king made other arrangements. The 3 children looked to where the king and queen were. They were talking and laughing with an elf. Callum and Soren ran over, eager to find out what was going on. Mom, Callum said, running up to Sarai. Callum, the queen said, embracing her son. Did you behave for Ophelia and help her take care of your brother? Callum nodded. Sarai smiled. We have someone we want you to meet. This is Saffron. She's an Earthblood elf who will be staying with us for a while. You're real pretty, Soren said to the elf, causing the 3 adults to laugh. 10 years old, and Soren is already a sweet talker, Hera said. I'm just being honest, Soren said. It's all right, Saffron said. Would you boys like to see some magic? Soren and Callum nodded excitedly. Saffron's magic proved to be very different from Lord Viren's. She didn't sacrifice anything or use a primal stone. She simply drew a glowing rune in the air and said, Bountiful harvest. And the plants in the royal garden grew bigger and healthier. Summer passed into fall and fall into winter. With their earth magic, Saffron and Sage managed to grow enough food to get Katolis and Duren through 10 winters. When spring came, so did the quarterly meeting of the Panarchy. But this meeting would be different. Hero, King Florine said. It is good to see you, old friend. Annika as lovely as ever. We're all here, Queen Farda said. Shall we get started? Just a few more moments, Hera said. We're waiting on 1-1. At that moment, a great shadow passed overhead, and Edevandian landed. Oh, what's he doing here? Florine asked. Annika and I invited him, Hera said. Hera and Annika approached the dragon as Edevandian shifted into a smaller 2-legged form. Welcome, my friend, Hera said. Come meet the others. The 3 made their way back to the pavilion. Farda, Florine, Alia, this is Avantius, ruler of Xadia, king of the dragons, and archdragon of the sky. Hera said, Evanzian, this is Queen Farda of Evernear, King Florine of Delbar, and King Alan of Neolandia. A pleasure to meet you, said Evanzium. King Alan extended a hand. You as well, Avi, please. It's much easier. Avandian said, taking Alian's hand. Now that we're all here, let's get started, said Harrow once the greetings were done. Before we start, I brought some peace offerings, Avandian said, reaching into a bag he had brought with him and pulling out 11 boxes, 5 long and thin and 6 small. I had the finest craftsmen in Xadia make these. Opening the larger of the 2 boxes Avandian gave him, Harrow held up a beautiful ceremonial sword. The blade was long and thin and polished to a near finish. The handle was a mix of red and gold, with the uneven towers that symbolized Katolis on the pommel, and the sheath was polished redwood inlaid with gold. Annika held up a beautiful necklace, one of a pair, of gold and sapphire with the Duren flower in the center. The other four long boxes contained ceremonial swords in the color of each of the kingdoms, with the kingdom's symbol on the pommel, while the smaller boxes contained necklaces of each of the kingdom's color with the symbol in the center. Once the gifts had been given out, the meeting started. Harrow offered his seat to Avandian since he planned on addressing everyone. He told the others of the famine that had plagued Duren, how Annika and Niha had come to Katolis for help, and how, when they attempted to enter Xadia, they had met Avandian, and he had sent Sage and Saffron back to help both kingdoms. "We have been at war for almost 1,000 years, Harrow said. It's time for peace. He, Avandian, and Annika tried to read the others, but it wasn't easy. They knew that this was a delicate situation, and they couldn't rush it. They also knew that if the others didn't agree to peace, it would be Xadia, Duren, and Katolis against Evenir, Delbar, and Yolanda. If that happened, the continent would truly be split in two. We're going to need a bigger pavilion, Alian said, causing everyone to laugh. Then we need to create a treaty and sign it, said Avandian. The scribe that Harrow had brought was summoned, and a treaty was outlined. It was soon decided that Avandian would send each of the 5 human kingdoms 10 tide-born elves to serve on 5 ships. 1 Earthblood farming family, a unit of Sunfire elves, a team of Moonshadow assassins, a Skywing mage, a Star-Touch scholar, and a dragon ambassador. While each of the 5 human kingdoms would send to Xadia 10 sailors to serve on 5 ships, a farming family, a unit of soldiers, a team of specialists, a scribe, and a lesser noble to act as an ambassador. In addition, in return for promising to ban the use of dark magic and allow the Star-Touch elves, Star Dragons, Tideborn elves, Ocean Dragons, Moonshadow elves, and Moon Dragons access to the Star Nexus, located on the border of Duren, Delbar, and Yolanda, the Ocean Nexus, located off the coast of Evenir, and the Moon Nexus, located in Katolis, Avandian would allow Sage and Saffron to remain in Duren and Katolis, and send an Earthblood mage to Delbar, Evenir, and Yolanda. It was also decided that if any of those chosen had families, they would be allowed to bring them as well. Callum was so excited. The Skywing Mage, Star-Touch Scholar, leader of the Moonshadow Assassins, leader of the unit of Sunfire Elves, and Dragon Ambassador were going to be arriving at the palace, and the Dragon, Moonshadow Leader, and Sunfire Knight each had a child roughly Callum's age. That meant 3 new friends to play with. He knew from the information Harrow had gotten from the Dragon King that all 3 were girls, and the Sunfire Elf and the Dragon were closer to Soren's age, while the Moonshadow Elf was closer to his age. His mother had helped him dress in one of his best dress outfits. It wasn't his best, but it was the best one he had that Sarai was okay with him playing in. Based on what Saffron had told them, Callum had a pretty good idea who was who. The High Cleric bowed to the royal family. Your Majesties, may I present our esteemed representatives from Xadia. Fire Rose, the son of the Sunfire Dragons, her mate Sunflame, and their daughter Pyrrah. Jenna of Lux, Aurora, and her ward Kez. Aurora of Starfalls, Ibis of Fair Winds, and Ryan of the Silver Grove, his husband Atari, and their niece Rayla. The dragon and her family came forward first. Fire Rose and Pyrrah both dipped into curtsies, while Sunflame bowed. Your Majesties, Pyrrah said, "It is an honor to be here as ambassador for Xadia." "The honor is ours," Hera said. "Soren, I hope you find your chambers comfortable. We weren't sure what dragons would need." "As long as we have pillows and cushions to make comfortable nests, we'll be fine." Jenna came forward, little Kaz by her side. Jenna bowed with her hand over her heart, while Kaz curtsied. "I bring greetings from Lux Aurora and offer friendship for my sister, Queen Kesla." Jenna said, "We accept both and hope to one day visit your beautiful city," Sarai said. Aurora came forward and dipped into an elegant curtsy that she had clearly been practicing. "Your Majesties," she said, smiling at Callum, Soren, and Claudia. "I look forward to learning more about your kingdom and teaching the children what my people know about the stars." "With your permission, of course." "You have it," Hera said. "We've set up a study for you near your rooms in one of the towers. Both have unobstructed and beautiful views of the stars." Ibis came forward and bowed deeply. "Your Majesties," he said. What happened to your wings?" Claudia suddenly asked. "Claudia, don't be rude." Sarai said, "It's all right," Ibis said. "I am one of the majority of Skywing owls that don't have wings, but I can do this. Magnus, Plumus, Voltus." Feathers began to grow, turning his arms into wings. Callum and Soren looked on, fascinated. Claudia just looked bored. "Impressive," Hera said. "I can see why Avantius sent you here. We have a room and a workshop set up for you in the same tower as Saffron and Aurora, both with a large balcony." Finally, Rian, Itari, and Rayla came forward. Rian and Itari both bowed, and Rayla started to before catching Rian's eye. She then attempted a curtsy. "Your Majesties." Rian said, "We've heard a lot about you." "And we have you," said Hera. "You're Tianan's brother, aren't you?" "Yes, Your Majesty. And Rayla is Tiana and Leon's daughter." Feeling a little self-conscious, Rayla clung to Itari and hid her face in his side. Used to this, Itari managed to move forward and held out a silver box. "A gift," he said. Sarai took it. When she lifted the lid, a beautiful melody filled the room. "It's beautiful," she said. "Where did you get it?" "I made it. I'm a craftsman. I made those as well," Itari said, gesturing to Hera's sword and Sarai's necklace. "The song is an ancient Moonshadow love song. I can change it." "Oh no, it's lovely. I think the boys have something for each of the girls." Soren approached both Kaz and Pyrrah, presenting each with a wooden box. Inside Kaz was a brand new chess set, while inside Pyrrah's was a set of 12 metal dragon figures, 6 regular, 6 archdragons, representing the 6 types of dragons. The 2 girls each gave him a wooden box, one containing wooden elven toy soldiers, and the other a checkers set. Callum shyly approached Rayla. Once they were just inches apart, the young prince held out a cloth doll that had clearly been altered from looking like a human to looking like a Moonshadow elf. "I picked it out myself, and Saffron helped me change it so it would look like a Moonshadow elf," he said. Rayla took the doll and hugged it to her chest. "Thank you," she said. "This is for you." She gave Callum a wooden box containing a paint set. "They're magic. They become different shades of the same color, or sparkly or shimmery. All you have to do is think what you want them to be." "We brought these as well," Pyrrha said. She brought a stuffed Shadowpaw, stuffed Ambler, and stuffed Inferno Tiger to Sarai, which were clearly for Ezran. But when Kaz tried to give Claudia the books they brought, the girl refused to take them, leaving Ophelia to accept them on her behalf. "May I introduce our youngest cleric, Ophelia," Hera said. "She will be in charge of the children during the day, seeing to their lessons and such." Ophelia bowed. "I'll let the children settle before lessons begin," she said. "Shall we say lessons start in a week?" "That sounds perfect," Hera said. He turned back to the 7 elves and 3 dragons. "We welcome you all to Katolis, and hope that you soon think of it as home. We also invite you to join us for dinner tonight. Dinner in the dining hall this evening." Okay, just so you guys know, yes, I am aware that Rayla is supposed to be a year older than Callum, but for this story, I kind of wanted them to be the same age. Okay, also, if any of you out there are writers and have a story that you would like me to read for Fanfic Corner, fanfic or short story, it doesn't matter, feel free to send it to my Facebook page, Tumblr account, or my Facebook group. I will have the link for all three in the description section. A couple of things to keep in mind, though. First off, please be sure to include your name and the name of the author, or the name of the author if you're submitting somebody else's work. If I don't have anybody to credit, I will not do a reading. Secondly, please try to keep them short. I do like to keep these around 15-20 minutes. I will go longer if I have to, but my camcorder will only record up to about 30 minutes and then it kicks over to another video. I will divide them up if they are a little too long, just like I do with some of mine. Please keep them clean and appropriate. I'll gloss over or clean up any parts or words that I feel are inappropriate for sensitive or young audiences, but if there's way too much, I just won't do a reading. If it is a holiday fanfic or short story, please be sure to admit it 2 months before the holiday and to include the name and date of the holiday. This is just basically to ensure that I can get it up a month before the holiday. Finally, please be honest. If I learn that somebody else has submitted someone has submitted a fanfic without the author's permission, I'll not only remove all corresponding videos, but I will no longer be accepting anything from the sender. Okay, as always, thank you for watching, and have a very nice day.